Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. A good Friday morning to you all. Hope you guys are feeling well out there. I'm sure most of you are, since it is Friday, the start of our weekend. And I hope you guys are having a great start to your day. I got you an update on what's going to happen for the weather specifically for today. And we're going to try to figure it out for you guys. We got a couple things to talk about. One being a little bit of snow for areas of New England. It could give people as much as 4, 5, 6 inches of snow. We'll see what happens with this. It's currently snowing in areas of southern New England as I speak right now. And then we're going to do something a little different. We're going to mention the West. And I know a lot of folks know I don't mention the West much, but I think it needs to be mentioned. This is a pretty big system. Multiple systems that have continued to hit California and the West Coast, and we'll actually have a little bit of a break for most of the day today before more active weather moves in later this afternoon and this evening, and then throughout the entire weekend it's going to remain pretty active. So we're going to talk a little bit about the West over the next few days, and who knows, if we can fit in some good detailed information without making these videos 40 minutes long, I might start trying to talk a little bit more about the West, especially when it's active like it is right now. It's impacting a lot of people's lives, and it's a big story in the weather world that I have not mentioned at all. So we're going to try to start to mention a little bit more, and we'll probably talk a little bit more on it tonight. So stay tuned for that, and then we'll give you an update on the East Coast storm signal. And unfortunately for winter weather fans, the models were not kind for you folks, and that includes me too. And we'll talk about why tonight, but let's just get a whole day's worth of models through, and then we'll give you a good updated informative video on that. So if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it, and if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put those in the comments below so I can pray over it, and I promise you others will do the same. Let's get rolling this morning. Let's take a look at the satellite. Here comes our next wave of moisture with a low pressure kind of way up here in the northwest, way off the coast of the northwest. This will bring kind of a wave of moisture in just round one of many this weekend. For the beginning of the weekend, throughout the entire weekend, we'll start to move in. We have, a winter weather advisory also in areas like Salt Lake City. Winter storm warnings up for Utah. Winter storm warnings up for all the higher elevations. The thing is the snow levels are not very low. It's not like you have a ton of cold air out west. So it's not like you're getting these record-breaking lower elevation snows or anything like that. It's snowing in areas that it normally snows at this time of the year, 4, 5, 6,000 feet up in the air and higher. I mean, even in the 4 to 5,000 foot range, you're not getting a ton of snow. You're getting inches of snow, but once you start to get above 6,000, 7,000 feet up in the air up here, that's when you start to get into the feet category. But another wave, getting very close to the northern California shore as we speak, and Oregon shoreline, and this will move in and create more rain. We'll talk about that here in a second. You see this little area right here? This is our system that's already bringing some snow and some cold rain for areas of southern New England. We'll talk about that. And then a little bit of system will bring some light rain development in areas of eastern Oklahoma and Arkansas, and areas of the Mississippi Valley a little bit later this evening. Let's get rolling. Watches and warnings. Winter weather advisories up. I know that's very hard to see on your screen, but we actually will click on this to help you guys out here, and it's still very small. But winter weather advisories for all these counties and Mass right here, and we don't have any winter weather advisories in Boston. This might get pushed into Boston. It might. But as of right now, in these winter weather advisory areas, and then a couple winter weather advisories also in Vermont, just a few inches of snow expected. But certain areas could pick maybe 4 to 5 inches of snow up. So we'll watch for that. And then you got the flood warnings. You got the high wind warnings. You got the high surf warnings. You got winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories. You got all kinds of things going out here in California and the West with just plumes of moisture entering the western coastline. So let's break it down region to region, and we will talk about the West in this video. So, and if you guys remember this, been watching back over the summer, I was giving you actually updated information on the West. I had a lot of time to do it in the summer. There's not a lot of active things going on except really hot weather and some storms, and I just have more time I can put towards doing that, and I think I picked up a few Western viewers from out there. So we're going to try to ooze our way, but at the same time, I'm not going to apply pressure on myself for that, and for reasons I've already kind of mentioned. But I do, when things are active out there and it's impacting people's lives, I think I should do my part on this weather channel on YouTube to try to help you guys out and keep you guys aware. Let's keep it rolling here. Southeast, a pretty quiet day today. It'll be more average temperatures, but still a little above average for January standards. But you'll notice a little bit more of a nip in the air compared to the last couple of days and throughout the week. But no real precipitation except a little bit of lake-enhanced snow that will make its way well east of the lakes all the way into some of the higher elevations of West Virginia. We'll get a better look at that here in a second. But then a little bit later tonight into this evening, really not even this evening, later tonight into the wee hours of the morning, some showers will develop in southern Missouri, northeast areas of Arkansas, and then will kind of ooze its way into western areas of Kentucky and Tennessee into the morning hours tomorrow. So you might wake up to some damp conditions in these areas tomorrow morning. The Northeast, like I said, a little bit of some activity going on, not a huge major storm system or anything like that, but you got a couple things going on. One, you got some snow showers flying around in Michigan, even Ohio this morning, maybe putting a dusting on the ground, but not a big deal. These will continue to make their way into Pennsylvania, maybe some flurry snow showers flying around in Pittsburgh, not a big deal. Little area of moisture right here. There's two little main areas of moisture, one being in western New York State that will make its way east, and then this main area right here, a low pressure will try to pop off and enhance the moisture, meaning it might intensify the moisture in these cases. So I'll be honest, the HRRR model has trended a little bit more warmer than it was, and I showed you last night, but you're still going to see some heavier bursts of snow, and here's this low pressure trying to develop here, and it brings some snow and rain for this entire area of southern New England throughout the morning. Already is snowing in areas throughout the afternoon and then evening hours, and then you guys can get a period of light to moderate snow for the down east areas, the entire coastal regions of Maine, New Hampshire, and then I think it'll stay mainly rain around Boston, but I'd certainly think it's definitely possible you guys could mix with a little bit of snow there at the tail end this evening. Maybe some flakes flying around if you're out and about in the city. And then just lingering snow showers will kind of fly through New York State and western areas of Pennsylvania. Closer look at this system today, and we'll look at the HRRR model. As of right now, plume of moisture moving through, reporting a mix of rain and snow just northwest of Springfield, Mass. here. No real reports in Connecticut. It's raining on the coastal regions. Raining in northeast areas of Connecticut, and just rain in Boston right now. But you're getting a little bit of reports of some sleet, snow, rain mix, but it's very marginal, meaning there's winter weather falling at very marginal temperatures, kind of meaning temperatures are probably only in the 30s. But as this deepens, brings more cold air to the surface, I think some areas could get some heavier burst of wet snow here. But we'll see what happens here. Reporting snow just north of the Mass, a New Hampshire state line right here. So it's cold enough certainly for snow right here, but we'll see how this develops today. But I really think we could have some burst of heavier wet snow in these areas. Let me know what you're seeing up here. I'm very interested. If you're up in Maine, let me know what you're seeing. Had somebody comment from the Maine area, said they make these morning videos part of the routine. That's awesome to always see when, I guess geographically speaking, people who live far away from me are watching my videos. Just like, people view from Minnesota, Wisconsin. It's always awesome to see, and I really appreciate the support, guys. But this morning, HRRR model doing an okay job at kind of indicating what's going on. But like I said, as you get into 8, 9 a.m., the cold air, basically the column of air above our heads begins to crash, meaning cold air starts to kind of move in all levels of the atmosphere above our heads, several thousand feet above our heads. Therefore, precipitation increases enough to cause basically dynamic cooling, which means, like I said, the entire column of air above our heads begins to cool, and it supports all snow. So this is the period 9, 10, 11 a.m. around lunchtime where it could start snowing heavily for areas of Massachusetts and areas of southern New Hampshire and Vermont. And then it starts to move into the areas of Maine too. But it stays mainly in the eastern to southeastern areas of Maine. But Boston being right here, it's very close. Right, but and I really think there'll be a chance, especially if you're in the western suburbs of Boston, for it to switch to definitely a period of heavy wet snow. I think it's possible. Same thing with Connecticut. If you live in the northern sections or some of the hills of Connecticut and northern areas of Rhode Island, I think as we're getting into the afternoon hours, you could switch to a period of maybe a burst of moderate to heavy snow. And then this moves through, and this could dump a few inches of snow relatively quickly within a several hour span. And here it is, the latest National Weather Service saying Nothing for Boston, right? But, a few inches of snow is certainly possible for these regions you're seeing right here. And it's certainly going to favor the higher hills. And it's what I don't think a lot of people realize that don't live in this area of the country. And I know a little bit about it just from just observing people off Twitter that live in the area and things like that. Is when you get these setups, it's very elevation dependent, meaning, you can live about 1,000 feet up in the air on like a hill, and then pick up, and it could be totally white, maybe have an inch or two of snow on the ground. Then you go into a lower elevation, only a few hundred feet up in the air, and it looks completely just blanked with no snow, and it's raining, or maybe a rain snow mix. That's how it is, especially in central and western Mass. I know you guys up here can definitely voice to this, but it happens a lot. We've already seen it happen this winter a little bit, and I think that might be the case today, where certain areas really close to other certain areas could get hardly nothing. But if you go a little bit up the road and a little bit higher up in elevation, maybe they got a couple inches of snow on the ground. So I think either way, it's going to be a wintry scene in this area of the country today in the Northeast. So, moving forward here in time, again, another very quiet day. We'll spend about 15 to 30 seconds on the South Central U.S. Just not a whole lot going on. You guys have just been chilling. No active weather except this area of moisture that will develop a little bit later tonight into the wee hours of the morning that we just mentioned in the southeast area. And just pretty quiet weather. Just enjoy it, guys. It's just there's not a whole lot going on because this area of the country can get popping sometimes in the weather world. North Central U.S., you're pretty quiet. Some lake enhanced moisture coming off Lake Michigan into Michigan. That will probably, throw some snow showers, flurries around for the state of Michigan. Nothing really going on in the UP of Michigan today, and then everywhere else, pretty quiet. Ohio could see some flurries, snow showers flying around. It's certainly possible. Pretty quiet weather up here in the North Central U.S. Out west, so we don't talk about this much, but here we are. Mountain snows, right? Valley rains. But certain areas in these valleys that are a little bit higher, even though you're in a valley, your elevations are a little bit higher, you can mix with a little bit of snow. Just depends on where you are. That's why it's important. I always mention this out west. Stay tuned to your local people out here. I can come on here all day and say it's going to snow in the mountains, it's going to rain in the valleys, and I'm going to have a good chance of it being right, especially in this case. But I think really a lot of focus should be on this. Here comes this low pressure. It's moving kind of west it's moving east to northeast. And here comes this huge onslaught of moisture right here, moving into Oregon, the Oregon coastline, all the way up to the Washington coastline. This moves in. It's a big system, and it's going to funnel in a lot of rain. And we'll stop this. This is around probably 2 to 3 p.m. Western time out here, and you got a huge area of moisture moving into northern Cal, the entire coastline of Oregon, and then Washington State's coastline up here. And with it, you're going to have high winds, heavy rain. I'm talking about a half inch to 3/4 of an inch an hour of rain. I know you're thinking, well, that doesn't sound like a lot, but when it's just liquid, that is a lot of rain. I mean, if you knock that and make it equivalent to snowfall, I mean, that's like a few inches of snow an hour. So, but this is rain, so this will move through. And of course, as we're getting into the overnight hours into tomorrow morning, it's snowing in the higher elevations of Oregon, Washington State, and then northern Cal. But if we get a little bit closer look at this, how this is going to unfold, what you're looking at is northern California. Watch as we're getting going here in time. We're starting to get into about 9, 10 a.m. Don't focus in on this time because this is Eastern time. Back this up a few hours, remember. But around lunchtime, this is, for out here in California, this is when the moisture really begins to work in the northern Cal. And this is heavy, heavy rain. And with it, gusty winds, strong winds, onshore flooding. Flooding on the coastal regions begin to move in. Winds are picking up. The surf is insane. And if you live along the immediate coastline, you're going to have a risk of flooding and then ocean flooding, because this is literally being pushed in west to east, right into the California coastline. And we're getting into this this afternoon and then into this evening, and it just continues. It's just wave after wave. And then it gets even worse this weekend. And we'll talk about that too, where just more rounds come in. It's just a continuous feed of low pressures moving in from the Pacific onto the west coast of the U.S., of the lower 48. And as you can tell, I know this looks kind of weird for folks who normally view out into the east, but you got splotches of blue. That's the HRRR model picking up on higher elevations, 4, 5, 6, 7,000 feet up in the air and higher. where it could be snowing in these cases. So it's picking up on these higher mountain ranges, and this continues. So you got to think, and these yellows and oranges, it is absolutely pouring at, say, the middle of the night tonight. You turn around and you transition just a pouring rain, I mean a downpour, torrential downpour, into snow, you get snowflakes the size of bigger than $50. I mean, the size of mini pancakes falling down, and it's absolutely what we call ripping at 3 to 5 inch per hour rates in some cases. Not all cases, but certainly 1 to 3 inch per hour rates in these cases. And so the higher mountaintops are getting a lot of snow, in the coastal regions, a ton of rain. And this just goes out 24 hours here. And these winds that come in with it. I mean, that's the story too, right? Look at all these winds moving in. And I'm talking, we'll stop it right here. This is this evening. Well, no, let's stop it right here. So this is around 11 a.m. lunchtime today. Look at these winds pushing 30, 40, 50 miles per hour, moving onshore. So this is, pushing water, ocean water, onto these onshore areas of northern Cal. So this is causing coastal flooding and just big issues. And of course, the winds are obviously screaming in the higher mountaintops of northern California. So it's not just northern California too, guys. It's Oregon also, and I haven't mentioned this in this video. That I probably won't have time to mention it, but Oregon too. It's a big deal for you folks. It's a big deal for everybody. And we'll talk a little bit about this tonight too, because I want to show you guys some love, because this is a big deal. Rainfall between now and the next 24 hours only. Next 24 hours, I mean, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain along the northern California coastline. Same thing with Oregon. In fact, we go on up to Oregon and look. Just the next 24 hours, not a ton of rain, but this, it's still moving in, right? So, if I'm the Oregon, I would take this time to take a little break, and especially if I'm in Southern Cal too. If I'm in Southern California, let's take a look at this. Not a whole lot for Central and Southern California. It's a little bit of a break today. San Francisco, you're getting a little bit of a break, so take advantage of it. You look at snowfall. Just between now and the next 24 hours. And of course, you're going to get feet of snow in those higher elevations. It just depends on, and you guys know this more than I do, and I look forward to trying to learn, but it just depends on really how high you're sitting up. 4,000 or 5,000 feet up, maybe only several inches of snow. But if you get about 7,000 to 8,000 feet up, you're going to get feet of snow. Everything's elevation driven out here, guys. I can't reiterate that enough. That's why I don't talk about it much, because it's not necessarily because I'm scared to forecast it. It's because I like getting on here and getting detailed with you guys. I don't like just, it's going to rain in the valleys, it's going to snow on the mountaintops. I mean, I think that's obvious to most of us, right? But there's a lot that goes into it. And, I like to get detailed. I hate, just like last night, I had some comments talking about, this, that, and the other about the models, and what did the one say? Anyways, but getting upset that sometimes we go on here and these YouTubers, they talk winter weather, and then 80 to 90% of the time it's not right. Well, I can't voice other YouTubers, but I know what we do here is when I show you these crazy model runs of these snowstorms and things like that, I'll always tell you this is not a forecast. This is not what's going to happen. This is what one model run shows, and there's always a reason why I show it, and the reason being is I show you this because I want to show you the factors on what's causing this one model run, and then I want to compare it to the other model run that's showing hardly nothing and tell you the factors driving on why it's hardly showing anything, because it helps you as the audience, and it also reinforces my knowledge on what it takes to make a winter storm, a hurricane, a big rainstorm, a severe weather event. What does it take for it to come together? So you look at the worst model, you look at the best model, depending on what your worst and best is. You compare them, you see what's driving it. And we keep talking about that, looking and kind of reinforcing that signal if something's there. And then when we actually kind of start to kind of know what in general is going to happen, we can start to get a little bit more detailed about it. So just remember, and this isn't me being smart, just remember when you watch videos, and not just mine, when you see something plastered all over social media and it's a big, beautiful map showing feet of snow for your location, remember, even if they're showing it with no context, just remember that, hold on, baby, hold on. just remember that what you're reading, it's not necessarily going to happen. There's many factors driving into it, and I really wish others would kind of talk about those factors more, but not everybody's going to do that. That's why when you're watching these videos, don't just watch with your eyes, listen with your ears too. And that's not me being smart, trust me. That's just what you should do as the audience, and then have your own thoughts as your own. There's a lot of people who are very gullible in all things in life when it comes to weather. So that's just some advice. And I had to learn the hard way too, because when I was learning weather, guys, and I would see these beautiful maps when I was younger, I would get so excited. I would get so excited when I saw it, and then I would get so disappointed when the next model run came and it was gone. And then I learned over time that these are just one model runs. So anyways, wasted 3 minutes of your time, but hopefully it wasn't a waste. Temperatures today, very warm in Texas, pretty warm in Oklahoma. It's cold where it normally is cold this time of the year, and then around in the eastern U.S., it's around average. And my little girl's knocking on my door, so I'm going to wrap this up really quick here. And then out west, there's no true cold air. It's just cold where it normally is cold in the mountaintops, and then the valleys, it is warm. You can come in, baby. So, there's nothing too wild temperature-wise out there. It really isn't. Now, you're well above average in Texas, that's for sure. But in general, guys, temperature-wise, it's just kind of all over the place, but at the same time, there's no extremes one way or the other. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'll have you an update this evening on a lot of things, but it might be a little bit later. Friday night's always a fun night with me and my family. We like to go get pizza, some ice cream, and all that stuff. So God bless all y'all. Have a great Friday, and I'll talk to you soon.